Welcome to the learners. Today we are going to discuss an important subject called the important definitions provided under the Consumer Protection Act 2019. If you compare with the Consumer Protection Act 1986 with the Consumer Protection Act 2019, the 1986 Act had only 23 definitions, whereas the 2019 Act doubled the definition to 47 definitions. So, it's not possible to cover all the definition in this 30 minutes discussion. However, I will select those definitions which are very important and commonly and frequently used by the people concerned. Those definitions alone will be taking into consideration. For other definitions, you may please refer to our study material, either received by post or that's hard copy, or you can refer to you can go to our IGNOU portal for viewing this material is concerned. Now let us go straight to what are the important definitions. One of the important definitions is the advertisement, which is provided under section 2(1) of the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Now, before we go to the definition, what for the advertisement is meant? Generally, the advertisement is meant for either for promoting the sale of the goods or hiring the services. That's what the primary purpose is concerned. And the advertisement may be of different kind, different nature. It may be by way of audio, a short film, or very often we see in the TVs, a 10 seconds latest say advertisement shown for each and every product is concerned, and it is repeatedly shown also. So what is the purpose of advertisement is to create an interest in the minds of the people to purchase that particular commodity or the hiring of the services concerned, or to in a way indirectly force the people or the influence the people to purchase that particular type of goods or the hiring is concerned, and that's for very, very important concern. Now, as I said, there are different type of methods of advertisement. It may be any audio, or it may be by visual publicity also. It may be by making representation of, if you say, a pictorial representation or diagrammatic representation also, or it may be anything also, or it may be by way of endorsement, or the pronouncement may means of the, or it may be by endorsement also, or pronouncement by means it may be by use of the light. Sometimes in the advertisement the light is so powerful or the sound is so powerful, that influence the people to purchase that particular goods is concerned. Either may be means of light, it may be by way of light, sound, smoke or gas, even the print and electronic media also. In the print materials, in the newspaper, you see that you find advertisement canvassing the utility of the product concerned, and also by electronic, we all know it very well, in the television, social media. So all type of advertisements are made with the view to influence the public at large is concerned. Ultimate purpose of the advertisement is to influence the people to attract more and more consumers towards their goods and services concerned. Now, notice that you get through your newspapers and all, or it may be by circulars. Again, circulation. Now, circular may be official circular or otherwise also. Even that they may door delivery, through door delivery, they come and circulate the advertisement to the people concerned, or it may be by way of wrapper also, invoice or such other documents also. These are the various ways by which the advertisements are being made, primarily for the purpose of promoting the sale of the goods or hiring of the service concerned. Now we move into another important advertisement which is very, very important too about the consumer protection is concerned. It's a laboratory, means appropriate laboratory. Why this definition is important is one should understand, because we in the consumer protection covers goods and services. Whenever any objection is taken about the quality of the goods purchased, then the other party will also is likely to say that argue that the goods sold is perfectly all right and it is in good condition. So therefore, there is basically a difference or dispute between the purchaser and the seller. So sometimes it may be difficult to measure or assess the quality of goods without sending to laboratory for testing. Therefore, sometimes testing is very, very essential to determine whether there was any defect in the goods sold. That's very, very important. So, for example, we purchase several items, even oil or even groceries or all type of items we purchase. So, when we let us take about honey. So, honey is, most of the goods are subject to adulterant by the similar items also. Adulterant, is one of the integral system of our business transaction is concerned. So, honey, very often the question is raised whether the honey is sold in the market by some of the sellers, really it's a genuine one, whether it's a pure, whether it contains the purity as per the standards and also. Therefore, if some objection is raised about the quality of the honey is concerned, definitely this cannot be decided by the consumer courts by themselves. So, this honey, the sample of the honey has been sent to the laboratory. So, therefore, then the laboratory will give the certification or its own assessment whether the honey, the sample sent contains all the prescribed standards and qualities prescribed by the regulatory authority and all. So, therefore, laboratory testing is very, very important. Therefore, the laboratory should be, again, if it is given to the private hands, that they may take the money and they give the different type of reports also. Therefore, identify the laboratory is very, very important. That's what the appropriate laboratory definition is very important. So, the appropriate laboratory refers to a laboratory or organization recognized by central government or state government. So, first criteria should be the laboratory should be recognized by the central government or the state government, or if this is not so, then other category, or it must have been established by or under the law, either maintained by the central government or the state government, or financed by the central government or state government, or aided by the central government or the state government. So, any one of the requirements need to be fulfilled. Then the fourth requirement, then laboratory should be for carrying out analysis of test of any goods. The purpose of the laboratory is primarily to carry out the analysis of the test of any goods brought to its notice only, and also the laboratory's job is to analyze the goods with the view to determine whether such goods suffer from any defect as claimed by the purchaser is concerned. So, therefore, appropriate laboratory when we refer to it, again this has to be recognized central government or the state government or established under law, maintained, financed or aided by the central government or state government. If these requirements are fulfilled, then there will be that laboratory, the goods will be sent to such laboratory is concerned. Then next important definition is the complainant. That once a person purchases the goods or the services, if there is a defect in the goods purchased or deficiency service hired, then there is the next way is to make a complaint, and that the person who should make the complaint is the complainant. The person who makes the complaint is the complainant. Who all can make the complaint? That's a complainant, means the person who can make the complaint is called the complainant. Now, who are the persons covered under the law to make the complaint? Number one, a consumer. As we have defined, we had a separate lecture on consumer. You can see to that. So, however, consumer is the person who buys the goods or either service for a consideration, or any voluntary consumer registered only. Any voluntary consumer association registered, or the central government, any case, central government or state government, because they have the sovereign duty towards the consumers. If the government comes to the conclusion that or notices that the product sold is not fit for the human consumption, central government can also file a complaint before the consumer government, so also the state government. And the Consumer Protection Act 2019 created an authority called Central Consumer Protection Authority, whose primary job is to carry out this type of investigation. So, therefore, the Central Consumer Protection Authority created the Consumer Protection Act to also become a complainant. Then one or more consumers having the same interest, as I said, depositors may become a same group or other things are concerned. There a group of consumers having the same or similar interest. Then the legal heir or the legal representative of the person who purchased the goods or hired the services in the case of the death of the consumer. So, that legal heir. because after the death of the person who purchased the goods, that the family member, that the legal heir should be taken into the case, and he will get the benefit ultimately. Then in the case, suppose the minor purchase the goods. So sometimes the school children, they need lot of things for purchasing for their educational purpose and all. Nevertheless, sometimes when up to 10th standard or 9th standard, they are the minors. They can also purchase the goods and all. Suppose in such a case, the minor purchase the goods, then in that case, minor cannot file a case before the law, but the parent or legal guardian of a minor who purchased the goods or hired the services, then they can also file a complaint before the consumer court. So these are the complainant, consumer, voluntary registered voluntary association, central government or central state government or the central authority, or consumer, more than one consumers having same interest, legal heir or the legal guardian of the minor is concerned. These are the persons who can file the complaint before the consumer forum is concerned. Now then I talked of the complaint. The person who purchased the defective goods or hired the deficient service, he should make a complaint. Now, what should be the contents of the complaint is equally important. So therefore, the complaint should be should pertain to making any allegations, and the allegations in writing. First of all, the allegation should be in writing, not oral. Then it may be made by the complainant, that we have in the previous discussion, all those. And what for the complaint should be? For obtaining any relief as provided under the Act is concerned. The complaint should be meant for claiming relief or damages from the seller or the service producer concerned. Now, in that thereafter, what should be the nature of the complaints is concerned, that is also equally important. You cannot write stories in the complaint. Only the essential thing alone should be put into that complaint. Now, what are the essential input to be made in the complaints are? Number one, the complaint should contain or include that the producer or the seller or the service provider, they had an unfair contract or unfair trade practice or restrictive trade practice adopted by the trader or the service provider. So, in essence, the person who purchases the goods or hired the services, they must make a complaint making an allegation that the trader or the service provider adopted unfair contract or unfair trade practice or restrictive trade practice. I think we have the definition of unfair contract. Unfair contract, no, that is where one person to the contract forces the another person to agree for certain terms and conditions. That's what the unfair contract is concerned. If we have a separate definition, then I will discuss about it. Then what type of the another complaint, nature of complaint should be the goods bought or agreed to be bought suffer from one or more defects. Now, about what is the defect noticed by the consumer should be clearly spelled out in the complaint is concerned. Suppose if it is about a car or a latest car. Now, suppose if the coloring is not as per the promised color one, that may be a choice, or that the color is not very perfect, or it's not giving the good attraction, or it may be the tires and wheels or the parts may be damaged, would have been put into that. In some of the lectures we discussed about that the old cars are sold as a new cars. Definitely it comes the defects in the car only. Or even in some of the lectures I told about the car which consumes excessive petrol or diesel, that also becomes a part of the defect in the car sold is concerned. So this may be of anything. Then the services hired or availed of or agreed to be hired suffer from any deficiency. Where we have the services include banking, financing, insurance, postal services, and electronic media. All those we have a separate definition. We can see there also. Now, the services hired from some deficiency. Suppose let us say the bank. Now we have the balance in our account, but when if you put a ATM card, it says that no balance and all. But despite by mistake committed by the bank's concern. So if the bank refuses to make the payment or release the payment, despite having sufficient money in our balance, definitely it will amount to deficiency in services concerned with regard to the banking is concerned. Like insurance policy, the insurance policy matured, but the insurance company is not releasing the payment timely, or they are saying that they say that the few more dues are left. So therefore there is a deficiency in service. So these are which will be verified based on the facts and all. So this is about the services. So to complaint should contain that either any unfair contract, unfair trade practice, or strict practice ordered by the trader or the goods bought or agreed to bought suffer more defects, and the services availed to suffer from any deficiency. Now, or the trader or service provider charged for goods, services, a price in excess price fixed. About excessive charging the price can also be the ground for making the complaint. The goods hazardous to life and safety when used are being offered for sale up to the public. Hazardous goods are sold to the public, which is prohibited under the law. The services hazardous to life and safety of the public are being offered by service provider who knows it to be injurious to life and liberty. Hazardous to service about faulty electric connection given or very on the village side and all know because in a view to say restrict the animals entering the field, they sometimes give the faulty wires and all, with the result something human beings also they while crossing the field without knowing this electric current and all, they die also. So this is hazardous services also come into play. Or a claim for product liability action lies against the product manufacturer or product seller or the product service provider. So suppose any liability action, again consumer protection now made a provision for the product liability action against the producer, manufacturer, product seller and product service provider. Also such type complaint can also be made. So these are about the nature of complaints to be made. Then consumer, again we have already recorded a video on who is a consumer. Please refer that video for the definition of consumer is concerned. The next important one is consumer dispute. Again, consumer dispute. Well, what is the meaning of what refers to consumer dispute? It refers to a dispute where a person against whom a complaint has been made, either he denies or disputes the allegation contained in the complaint. Now we talked about the complaint. We talked about who can make a complaint. Now the complaint has been made. Now the seller or the producer or the manufacturer or the distributor or the service provider, if they completely deny the allegations made or they dispute that the allegations are even partly or fully, even if the if they refuses the partly, if it is partly it is denied also, then not it will become the dispute only. So dispute, however, there are certain prerequisites for a issue to become a dispute. First of all, as per the procedure in the consumer protection law, the person who bought the goods or had the service, he or she should make a formal request to the trader or the service provider with a request to give the required remedy. It may be by the return of the money, it may be the replacement of the goods, or it may be hiring of the services free of cost, it may be anything. And based on this claim made, relief sought, if the trader or the service provider, if they come ready, willingly and ready to compensate the purchaser or the service hirer, then there is no dispute at all. The dispute will come, the consumer dispute, only when complaint is made and the other party either denies or disputes the allegation, then only it will become a dispute, otherwise it will not become a dispute at all. Then again the consumer right is there. Again we have recorded a video on the consumer rights. Please refer to the video for further detail about this. Then the next important defect in the goods, we discussed at length. Defect in the goods, deficiency in service. These are the two common phenomena in the Consumer Protection Act. What is defect refers to? The term defect refers to any fault in the goods purchased or imperfection in the goods purchased or shortcomings in the quality, quantity, potency, purity or standard which is required to be maintained by or under the law for the time being in force or under any contract either by express or implied connotation. Or in addition to this, the defect may also include as claimed by the trader in the manner whatsoever in any goods or the product is concerned. So this is what the defect means. So let us come to what with the faulty goods. The producer, the seller or the manufacturer that may sell the goods that is in a good condition, but the product is faulty, means that there is some defect, means the concern there is a shortcoming in this concern. No, then it will become the defect only. Shortcomings in the, as I talked about the denting in the car or there is some damage caused to the property at the time of sale itself. These are the defects in the vehicle and all. And the quality also, the quality of the color also, even the quality of the tire, or in the based on the prescription. The quantity refers to this like the commodities only. So very often underselling is one of the common feature notes in the trading concern. Sometimes they say that it's 1 kg, but if you measure it, it may be less than 1 kg also. It may be the 1000 ml, but if you measure it, it may be less than 1000 ml. So if there is a decrease in the quantity, then the quantity prescribed, say print the label or otherwise also, it can become the defect also. It may come under the category of defect also. Potency, it's also that in the power of the commodity, that no, if it is not potency, it is not reaching the potency as provide the regulatory authorities. Similar the purity of the, I talked about the purity of the honey or purity of any medicine, if they are pure, impure goods are also, spurious goods are also sold in the name of its pure goods, and also these all things will become the defect in the goods. Substandard quality goods sold, or the substandard quality means the standards are prescribed by the regulatory authorities. If those standards are not maintained, then it will also become a substandard commodity sold, then it can also come under the category of the defect. And these are some of the requirements of the defect in the goods. In short, defect, the prescription of the goods as from the goods sold is not as per the prescription promised to the buyer. Then anything falls short of the prescription or assurance made by the seller, producer or the distributor, then it will come under the category of defect is concerned. The next one is again the deficiency definition, again analogous to defect only, again same. Deficiency refers to the services. Defect is for the commodity. That's the only thing to remember. I said about the goods in the physical in nature, which you can show, all foods, fruits, vegetables, all those things come under the category of goods. Services, as I told about we have the next slide also, service, we can see that. And again fault, imperfect, shortcoming. The quality you will not find the quantity here. There we had the quantity there. Then nature and the manner of performance. So even this may be you go for the mobile site, they say 1G, 2G, 3G and all, they said no. But when you purchase it, when you go for such an offer and all, but in reality they are not giving very good speed. You are not getting you are unable to say download what you can do, because they promise certain speed of performance, but that is not maintaining that required level of performance. So that also becomes the deficiency. Maintained or undertaken to perform with any person under a contract. So this is about in short, deficiency refers to the services and defect refers to the goods is concerned. Now e-commerce is very, very important. E-commerce refers to buying or selling of goods or services, including digital products over digital or electronic network. That is the e-commerce is now very, very common. E-commerce may be related to business. The e-commerce may refers to the business to consumer, or it may be business to business. It may be business to consumer to consumer. It may be consumer to business. Say for example, business to consumer. Any consumer, any businessman trying to sell the goods to electronically. That will be, say, sometimes this is an online purchase, very, very common. Everybody, even for small things, we place an order through online. So all online purchases through electronic network, that comes under the category of the e-commerce. So let us say we purchase shoes by online ordering it. We consumer place an order to the shoe shopkeeper, and so there is an online sell e-commerce transaction. Or you place the shirts or you place the digital clocks through online. You place an order. So these are the online purchases are covered under that's e-commerce is concerned. E-commerce is concerned. That is the purchases through business to commerce, then the consumer to consumer, then consumer to business, and the business to consumer. These type of categories are there. Then electronic service provider. Again, we talked about the electronic service provider, the person who provides services through electronic networking. So electronic service provider refers to a person who provides technologies or processes to enable a product seller to engage in advertising or selling goods or services to a consumer and any includes any online marketplace or online auction sites and all. So service provider referred about the person through providing service through electronically through online network, then he is called the electronic service provider. This is about his concern. Now we come to the manufacturer. Again, when we refer to the goods, it's a manufacturer refers to a person who makes the goods either fully or partly thereof, also parts, or if he makes assembles any goods or parts thereof, he is also coming under the different manufacturer, or he puts or causes to put his work mark or any goods made by the other person, then he is to come in the definition the manufacturer concern. The misleading advertisement, it's very, very important definition. Misleading advertisement is making the people full of, making the people to understand a thing which is not true as a true. That's what. Misleading advertisement, that's a new definition. Misleading advertisement in relation to any product or service means an advertisement, we have seen advertisement already, which falsely describes such product or service, false description of the product or service, or gives a false guarantee, are likely to mislead the consumers as to the nature, substance, quantity or quality of the product or service, and conveys an express or implied representation which, if made by the manufacturer or the seller or the service provider thereof, would constitute an unfair trade practice. If they make a promise or a representation which comes under the unfair trade practice, then also it will lead a misleading advertisement. Then deliberately conceals important information. Say for example, there was some advertisement. If you the complaint, say advertisement, if you taking 2 glasses of Horlicks equivalent to one glass of complaint and all. So this was challenged before the court of law. This definitely leads to misleading advertisement. See, the competitors, you can promote your own product, but you have no right to degrade the commodity of your competitors. Therefore, you cannot make such type of comparison between which is untrue. So this type of is refers to the misleading advertisement. Then the product manufacturer. Product manufacturer refers to a person who makes any product or parts thereof, or assemble parts or made by others, or this is a product manufacturer and the manufacturer. There's little difference. Here the product refers to the particular product is concerned. That's a general definition only. We are running short of time. Again, product seller. Product seller in relation to a product refers to a person who in course of business either imports, sells, this is important. Seller is a person who imports the goods or sells the goods or distributes or leases or installs or prepares or even packaging done is also coming in the product seller. Labels, markets, repairs, maintains or otherwise is involved in placing product for a commercial purpose. So product seller, these people engage in importing, sale, distribution, lease, in preparation of packages, labels, they all come under the product seller. Restrictive trade practice again refers to a trade practice which tends to bring about manipulation of price or its conditions of delivery, or to affect the flow of supplies in market related to goods or services such a manner as to impose or to the consumers unjust cost or restrictions. Now we have a couple of definitions. That's what I was referring to. Service refers to service of any description which is made available to the potential use and includes banking is a service, financing is a service, insurance, transport which include rail, road, air, even by ship transportation, they are covered the services, processing of goods, supply of electrical or other energy, electricity is coming under this, telecommunication comes under this, boarding and lodging of your all hotels, hotel industry is covered under this, house construction is covered under this, then entertainment, amusement, and the newspapers and other information, media services, multimedia, media, social service, all these things are covered under this. So service is a wider definition. Even the medical service covered under the services as per the Supreme Court decision is concerned. This is what about the unfair contract. Unfair contract I referred in the first 2 slides only. And it refers to a contract between a manufacturer or a trader or service provider on the one hand and the consumer on the other, and 2, having such terms which causes significant change in the rights of the consumer. That is very, very important. The contract which changes the rights of the consumer adversely to the consumer, that's a unfair contract concern. Unfair trade practice refers to trade practice which for the purpose of promoting the sale, use of supply of goods or for the provisions of the service, adopts any unfair method, unfair deceptive practice. That comes, it's a very lengthy definition. So with this discussion on unfair trade practice, we have completed our discussion on this important definition provided in the Consumer Protection Act 2019 is concerned. I said there are 47 definitions and 23 definitions, new definitions. Apart from what we discussed today, please refer to the study material, either a print copy or from our portal. With this, thank you each one of you. Thank you very much, please.